Volcano of Vengeance.
Hey! Who's that? What are you doing in my room? Stand still until I put the light on.
Go back to sleep, senor. You do not really see anything. You are only dreaming. Return to slumber, senor.
As field man for the North American Museum, Tod Sloane was used to strange sights and bizarre adventures. He had long ago ceased to be awed, shocked, or frightened by any of the fearsome events into which his exotic occupation sometimes led him. But then, one night, in a mountainside inn near the smoldering volcanic Mount Pataxo in a small Central American country, he was suddenly awakened from a feverishly restless sleep, drenched with perspiration. The smothering stillness of the mountain night, the hypnotic tone of this nightmarish intruder, for a moment made Tod Sloane incapable of movement. When he finally leaped from the bed,
It's one of the Mount Pataxo goatmen. Come back here, I want to talk to you. Vanished. One thing's certain, no human being could scale that sheer 1,000-feet precipice to reach this window, yet that glow over the crater of Mount Pataxo. That volcano has been extinct for centuries, but tonight it looks like it's ready to erupt.
turning back into his room, still lightheaded, dizzy from his strange and sudden awakening, Tod found
A slab of lava from the volcano. It was not here when I went to bed. That goatman must have left it.
the sole purpose of Tod Sloane's trip to the Mount Pataxo country was to investigate reports of chunks of lava being found bearing the impression of the figure of a mythical goatman, and, if possible, to secure a sample for the museum. For 3 tiresome weeks he had explored the area and was about to give up hope of the legend being true. Now, the night before he was to return to civilization, the object of his search was mysteriously brought to him. But before Tod could complete his examination of the grotesquely formed slab left on his dresser,
Pedro, the innkeeper.
Yankee Dog, now that you have learned the secret of Mount Pataxo, you shall surely die, and all of us in the village with you.
What are you talking about? Hey, get away from that hunk of lava. That's valuable.
There is still a chance that if I get the goatman's gravestone away from you, we'll be saved.
Tod followed the hysterical innkeeper to the kitchen.
There! It is destroyed. I have taken step number 1 to save the village from the fury of the goatmen gods.
That precious chunk of imprinted lava pulverized, you superstitious idiot. Why did you do that?
I awakened a while ago burning with fever, and I knew that the goatmen of Mount Pataxo had been angered and that the great fires inside the mountain were starting to boil over. It was you who was responsible. See what you have done. The volcano erupts with the fiery fury of the goatmen. Liquid fire will roll down the mountain and destroy the village unless they are appeased. When one of the sacred goatmen who live in the flaming depths of the volcano dies, his form is outlined on a gravestone of lava. If it falls into the hands of an unbeliever, the goatman's anger causes the fires to overflow the mountain. But if we can make a sacrifice to the volcano gods in time, our destruction by fire may be stopped.
As he sank to the floor, unconscious, Tod Sloane seemed to go floating off in a purple fog. The throb and pound of a million tom-toms filled his ears and swelled to a deafening war of sound. Suddenly Tod awakened and found himself trussed and slung from a pole like a sacrificial animal.
Ooh, my head must have been unconscious for some time. What are they doing with me? We're miles from the village. Where are you taking me, Pedro? You and your whole village will be in a mess if the US consulate comes looking for me.
No more so than if we are destroyed, boiled in molten lava to satisfy the rage of the goatmen. We enter the cathedral cave of the goatmen. I hope you will be sacrificed in time to prevent the final burst of flame from Mount Pataxo.
Deep inside the cave, as Pedro and his fanatical followers were about to hurl Tod Sloane as a human sacrifice into a pit of flame.
Oh, goatmen, repay us for this human sacrifice by calming the flaming anger of Mount Pataxo.
That figure of a woman in the flames, yet none of the others seem to hear or see her. Am I going crazy?
With the barbaric screams of the mountain men ringing in his ears, Tod Sloane was hurled out into fiery space. At the first blast of vicious heat, merciful blackness swept over him. Tod Sloane came swirling up of the gloom of unconsciousness to find himself in an echoing underground chamber, glowing with a flame-like light.
The Earthman is alive, Queen Arnie.
Yes. For a moment I was afraid we hadn't saved him from the flame pits in time.
Where am I? How can I possibly be alive? Nobody could have lived through that roaring inferno.
Not without the help of the goat people. Here in the depths of the volcano, we can control the power of fire.
Who are you? You don't look like the goat people.
My name is Arnie, Queen of the Goatmen. After I dismiss my consorts, I'll tell you an intriguing story.
At a gesture from Queen Arnie, and a few words in an exotic tongue, the old goatman moved from the room, walking without fear, straight through a curtain of roaring flame.
Doesn't the fire burn them? It seems impossible.
When you have lived here as long as I have, nothing seems impossible. I know who you are, Tod Sloane. I knew all about you from the moment you arrived in this wild country. Tonight I sent one of my subjects to bring you the Goatman gravestone for which you were searching, and to have him ask a favor of you in return. But my messenger became too frightened when you awakened suddenly and didn't stop to give you this message. Once, hundreds of years ago, I lived in Pedro's village. I too was supposed to have offended the Goatman, caused the volcano to erupt, and was sacrificed in the same manner that you were tonight.
But you were saved?
Yes, the Goatmen seemed entranced by me and made me their queen. During my reign there have been other human sacrifices of hapless villagers over which I had no control. These must be stopped.
Then the villagers' belief about the Goatman is only a superstition.
Of course, when the Goatmen die and their form is impressed upon a slab of molten lava, it is a mere funeral rite. After it is done, no one really cares what happens to the gravestones. Come, I will show you.
Hey, we're not going to try to walk through that wall of fire, are we?
Queen Arnie laughed off Tod's fears. As they neared the firewall, suffocating heat blasted at them. Yet miraculously, they were not burned.
Fire is the goat people's friend and cannot hurt them. And temporarily you are one of us and safe.
It's uncanny.
Through the fire curtain, they entered a chamber filled with a strangely dizzying incense-like scent. Queen Arnie's voice lowered to an awed whisper.
This is the vault of the dead. All the goatmen, when they die, are brought here, their bodies placed on pieces of molten lava, and while the impression is being made, they are reincarnated once again into mountain goats on the outside of the mountain. The superstitions of the nearby villages and their sacrifices are all for nothing. That is why you must stop them, Tod Sloane.
But how? How could I possibly return to the outside world after this?
You shall see. Here is Jan the Wise, who died just a few minutes before you arrived. He was one of the oldest and most brilliant of my subjects. Some of the others used to tease him about his broken horn, but he was one of the really great goat men.
This can't be happening. At any moment, I'll awake from this strange dream.
Come, I'll show you a way of escape. You must make the villagers stop offering us human sacrifices. This is the secret exit to the outside world, used by the reincarnated forms of the goat men. Follow it. Don't forget what I told you. Goodbye, Tod Sloane.
As Tod entered the tunnel, he looked back, but Queen Arnie was gone. There was nothing back there but a wall of fire covering the opening through which he had crawled. After what seemed hours of burrowing through the eerie light of the tunnel,
I smell fresh air, and there's a sign of light up ahead. At last. The tunnel brought me to the outside world, and any exit is also an entrance. I'll note where it is, and someday bring back an expedition to go into the mountain and explore those underground caverns.
but as Tod wheeled around to find the tunnel exit,
Gone. There isn't any tunnel now. It was right here a moment ago. I haven't moved from the spot.
many hours later, staggering with exhaustion, Tod Sloane returned to the inn.
Senor Sloane, but it can't be. I, myself, helped throw him into the fiery bowels of the volcano. No one could survive such a fate. It must be a ghost.
It's me, all right, Pedro. Alive and kicking. And with news for you.
By some miracle, he was not burned to ashes in the volcanic flames.
Listen closely to what I have to tell you.
Pedro and the other awed villagers listened gape-mouthed as Tod Sloane reported all that had happened to him. and gave them Queen Arnie's message.
And now, if you don't mind, I'm exhausted. I'm going upstairs and sleep for about 40 years.
It shall be as you and the Queen say, Senor Sloane. We are convinced that you speak the truth. There shall be no more sacrifices.
Back upstairs in his room,
Can't keep eyes open another second. Got to sleep. Sleep.
hours later,
What? What's that noise? Something awakened me. Hey, who's that? Come back here. Blasted. I've let him escape again. Or maybe he wasn't even really here at all. I must have been still half asleep, imagining things. But there must have been someone, something. This hoof print proves it. And Mount Pataxo is quiet again. But still, none of that other could have happened, really. That part of it must have been a dream.
but as he turned from the window, there by the dresser, he saw
Another one of the Goatman's gravestones, just like the one Pedro destroyed. Queen Arnie has sent me another one to take back to the museum.
and on this grotesque chunk of solidified ash, clearly defined, was the figure of Jan the Wise, whom he had seen back in the fiery heart of the volcano.
This proves that it all really happened. I was within the volcano. And yet,
Immediately, Tod Sloane packed his bags, including the Goatman's gravestone, and left the inn to return home, wondering how he could possibly explain to the others the things that had happened to him, and knowing that he never could really explain them. The end.